Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are. And your
Oh,
screen.
great.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Yeah, let's begin. Good morning, everyone. So today, Meghna and I will be presenting our work with you all, which is broadly about the weaponizing of cringe for virality. So just to give you a brief idea, our story is being told through the case study of an emerging influencer, and we want to argue that social media content creators, particularly those lying at the peripheries within these algorithmic spaces today, attain virality when their content draws the attention of a growing unintended audience, evoking feelings of cringe. Consequently, these content creators are becoming increasingly aware and weaponizing this sense of cringe to boost their virality on social media. Next slide, Meghna. So, when talking about cringe, it is imperative that we first understand cringe. The concept of cringe is defined as an emotional response characterized by embarrassment, usually in response to social situations. Prior scholars have approached cringe through various perspectives. While some have considered it as a characteristic of the content, others have linked it to the creator itself. However, cringe, which is deeply subjective and context dependent, encompasses several socio-linguistic and socio-anthropological layers. Therefore, it prompts us to consider it strictly as a feeling and nothing else. For the rest of this presentation, when talking about cringe, we maintain the stance that the determination of what constitutes as cringe ultimately rests upon the consumer of that piece of media. Now that we recognize that cringe is an elicited response, let's see what's really triggering cringe in the context of current social media platforms. And so our story begins with a unique content creator who's clearly making some headlines, as you can see. And this person is none other than Raja Babu, popularly known online as Raja Vlogs. Raja, who's an influencer from Samastipur, a remote village in Bihar, India, gained recent explosive virality with his quirky wedding reels. And he's got like over 4 million followers on Instagram alone. Raja's content initially circled around the everyday aspects of his life in a village in India. Despite years of consistent content creation, his real breakthrough came with his wedding reels earlier this year, where his quirky singing and lip syncing during traditional wedding ceremonies resonated with millions, turning his wedding into a viral sensation. Now, while Raja's unconventional approach to content creation garnered him immense popularity, it also invited a spark of cringe. Yet, interestingly enough, Raja is not the first in eliciting such a response. Prior research suggests that content from creators in similar spheres and spaces, such as Raja, garner cringe reactions, particularly from those from urban audiences. So, this brings us to an interesting yet crucial question. What is it that precisely evokes this feeling of cringe in users when engaging with digital content? Next slide. And lastly, what would this mean for the definitions of consent and privacy for this segment of content creators? Now, moving on, my colleague Meghna is going to dive deeper into this interplay of cringe and virality.
Now, it's pretty interesting, similar to the universal traditional forms of emotions that content creators used to utilize while making their content on social media platforms like humor or satire. Cringe has kind of become an interesting yet rising technique for content creation, specifically in Indian context. So influencers like Raja Babu, right, that we've just seen, are kind of rare examples of having successfully broken out of the echo chambers they were algorithmically mediated and bounded by. So interestingly, it's the audience's reaction and the emotions that have been evoked of cringe, which are often unintended, that helps them attain the virality that they have attained. in case of Raja Babu. Interestingly, content creators across various socio-economic classes become viral for being cringe. And it's not just Raja Babu and other creators from those spheres, when their content draws the attention of a different set of people who they were probably not making the content for. So when their content kind of gains attention of an unintended audience, that's when we believe that their content sort of gains their profile and their content sort of gains virality on these social media platforms. So we argue in our paper that these content creators are now increasingly weaponizing the sense of cringe to boost their virality and visibility on social media platforms. Now, you might have seen this person a lot on social media platforms. Orhan Avatramani, popularly known as Ori, also uses cringe to build and further his brand. He comes from an affluent urban class family, and the socialite is an example of an upper class individual kind of producing and weaponizing cringe online. Ori is most popular for posing with very interesting Bollywood celebrities, almost every Bollywood celebrities, and is very popular for their healing hand pose that you see over here in the second and the first image on the left and the center. So now what's really the similarity between Ori and Raja Babu on Instagram and social media in general? Now, both of them are kind of creators who've opened themselves to unintended audiences consuming their content for those who find their content cringe. They're weaponizing and embracing cringe to grow further on these platforms. In the process of both embracing and weaponizing cringe also comes unintended consequences. Firstly, when talking and thinking about the broad benefits of this process of embracing and weaponizing cringe, of course, it leads to increased visibility and engagement on these platforms. It paves the path for economic growth and opportunities through monetization, brand endorsement, deals, and sponsorships, as can also be seen in both the cases of Raja and Ori. However, there are also several disadvantages, because when you're kind of embracing cringe, when you're embracing emotions of cringe on these social media platforms, you're also exposing yourself to judgment and ridicule by sharing self-humiliating content.
Sorry to cut you off. 1 minute. Could you just wrap up as soon as possible?
Yeah. So you're not just exposing yourself, but you're also exposing others around you who are also involved in your content. So this is an example also. Breaking out of echo chambers is also an example of democratization on social media. And we believe that platforms play an integral role. While some platforms are easier to penetrate than others, some are harder to penetrate. So for example, Instagram's commitment to maintaining its curated look and feel, they have particularly stricter requirements for content. We feel that influencers like Ori may find it easier to penetrate the echo chambers of Instagram due to their aesthetically curated content compared to Raja, who probably do not have the means to produce that kind of content. On the contrary, TikTok, which was once celebrated as a more democratic video sharing platform, embraced by tier 2 and tier 3 city content creators, faced a pushback when it was banned in India in the year 2020. Ever since then, content creators from lower socioeconomic communities continue to wrestle and try to break down the echo chambers of other platforms on a daily basis. The unique case of Raja Babu reflects the journey of one such creator who effectively infiltrated and broke into these echo chambers on Instagram by evoking emotions of cringe. So we argue that this perceived cringeness serves as a window to democratization on social media platforms that often tend to foster these echo chambers. And we leave our audiences with a question that, does this interplay between cringe and virality finally open up the hopes for the democratization of digital content on social media platforms? And we end our talk with this question. So yeah, I guess I'll stop sharing my screen. Thank you so much for listening to our work. Thank you.